Hello, hello.
What's going on?
What's going on, Mr. Forrest? What's going on, Mr. John?
Hi. It's so weird. My camera's over there,
Right.
so I'm like, it looks like I'm staring off into the distance, deep in philosophical thought, but I'm not at all. But this brain, empty, completely empty.
Well, you're out there in nature getting to absorb it all.
That's right. That's right. I'm getting recharging the batteries for a quick moment.
It's so funny. Why don't you tell people what we were just talking about as far as like America and fear and stuff like that. We'll go into our other topic, but I just thought that was a very interesting comment, especially living over here.
Well, I remember when I first came here. This is obviously not everywhere in the world, and I've heard that I've heard Europe is terrible for like getting mugged and pickpocketed. That's always been a warning. They always say about that, but I actually have some experience my one time going there. But in East Asia, everywhere I've been in East Asia, which is Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. You can walk around at night anytime with zero fear. And in fact, when I first came here, it was much more common at the time. Things are changing so quickly and dramatically here,
Right.
culturally. But when I first came here, there's this something called huishik, which is like company meal, and you're forced to have like dinner with your whole company, and your boss is always somebody who wants to drink a lot, and you have to match your boss drink for drink, and you have all these like salary men getting shit-faced wasted, and then they just fall asleep on the street. And what they will do is they will take out their like their work notebook, their wallet,
Right.
and their phone, and they'll stack it up in a little pile next to their head, and then they go to sleep on the sidewalk. Nobody
Wow.
touches their stuff. Nobody does anything. You can leave your laptop on a cafe table, and you can go away for 2 hours and come back, and it'll still be sitting on that table. And you can
Wow.
walk around in a dark alley at night anywhere you want, and there's like very, very, very little fear of anything happening. Now, I'm a man. It's a bit different for women, but even
Right.
so, the level of safety for everybody in general is like way, way, way higher. So well, before we came on, Van made a comment about me not getting axe murdered while walking in the woods here. And I said, I can understand that fear being an American, but you quickly lose, or I shouldn't say quickly, it takes a while to lose it, but you lose that fear eventually,
Right.
that constant nagging anxiety. Also, healthcare. Like there's free healthcare. So I also just go to the doctor, or it's not free, it's like $3. I go to the
Right.
doctor anytime I need to go to the doctor. I just go to the doctor. I pay $3. If I need medicine, maybe it's $5, $10. And yeah,
Man,
anytime
you
you
don't need a
need it.
special card or anything like that.
And you can go to any doctor. You can walk into there's like in every neighborhood, there are several like clinics, and you can walk into any single one of them. They also have what they call Oriental clinics, which are like Chinese medicine, we would call it in the States.
Right.
You can go into any of those, and those are all covered as well. And yeah. So yeah, the
Man.
anxiety level, I know we're talking about unknown fears, but later in the show, but the anxiety level from healthcare and not feeling like you're going to get shot or stabbed or killed from walking around, those being gone, wow, is that a fucking relief? Like it's
Wow.
crazy how much better life is without those anxieties.
No, I can
Yeah.
imagine that is. I mean, just to be able to have that sense of relief to not think about those things, I'm sure it changes your entire world and your whole
I
process of
mean, the thing
thinking.
is, the brain is a funny thing, and it will find a zillion other anxieties to fill that empty space that was used to be filled by those other things. But
Right.
You know, I would say those are especially egregious ones, though. This like fear of your personal safety constantly, either from getting a disease that you can't afford to pay for, or just
Right.
some fucking asshole, you know, gunning you down or stabbing you or, you know, yelling at you for wearing a mask or some other
Right.
shit. Who knows?
Do they?
Yeah.
Are citizens allowed to have guns in Korea?
No, well, you can own a gun, but you keep your gun locked up at the police station.
And
So,
what good does that do?
well, it's the guns are for hunting or for, you know, sport, you know, of some
Mm,
kind. So, like going to a range. So, when I first moved here, I went to this like grand opening of some like hotel. They invited some foreigners there because they wanted to take pictures to have foreigners in their brochure.
mm.
And the CEO of the company was cooking boar that he had hunted and killed on
Wow.
Jeju Island is famous for what they call black pig.
Mm.
And yeah, he shot a wild boar and we ate that. But yeah, so you can do some hunting, but no guns for protection. No, like basically you level the playing field and nobody has a gun and you know, like gangsters don't have guns, like nobody's got guns,
Right.
so
But I'm
it's
sure
much
there's
more tightly
gangs there.
controlled.
What do gangs use? Like clubs and stuff?
Yeah, what you see is you'll see like yeah, exactly, like clubs, like if there's like some kind of like but so the gang stuff here, yeah, it'll be like prostitution, drugs, and but then they'll just kind of attack people with club. It'll be like a group of people attacking
Wow.
somebody with clubs. That's generally what I have seen, but I only see that in like the popular media, like K dramas and stuff like that. I have
Right.
actually have zero idea what gangs actually do here.
Right. Right.
Not a
Right. Right.
clue. Not
You're not a
associated with too
gangbanger?
many gangs. So
Hey, really quick before we go on, I want to say what's up to Say Wong, who is out at SAC Anime. I will be out there tomorrow, Say Wong, so I am very excited. Marissa, our fabulous director, is online, and Paul, who is a Kyber Cave regular, out in the Mid East. I always get your state wrong, dude. I don't know why. And what's up, Ian? Thank you for tuning in. We love having Ian here. So yeah, that obviously we're a little off topic there, but I found that very interesting. We were just talking about that before we came on air. Some of the differences between living there in Korea and here in the United States.
yeah.
Fours, what's new with you, my friend?
Oh, it's Forza's birthday weekend.
Yeah,
Oh, happy
baby!
birthday!
Thank
Woohoo!
you.
Woohoo! Do you get to do anything exciting, or are you doing
Yes.
anything exciting?
Yes, you want to know that there are two extremely exciting things happening. Number one, I'm right freaking here, baby.
Woohoo!
Number two, I'm not at work, baby. No,
The
but in all
simple
seriousness, say that again, John.
The simple things.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. No, dude, it's been really really great. My son was sick and he got better. Got a couple new games, got a couple new books. Get to hang with you guys. You know, we're gonna be spending the weekend chilling out. My dad's coming Sunday. We're gonna cook an enormous seafood platter.
Right.
It's just a lot of chilling out, a lot of hanging out, a lot of having a good time and just celebrating. And man, oh man, did I need this time off. I've been real excited for tonight, to be perfectly honest.
Really? And just the topic, or just because it's your birthday weekend, or
Both. Perhaps a little bit of both. You never know.
what is that?
What books do you get?
Actually, I am a collector of manga, so it's an
Mhm.
old favorite from college called Meizani Koku.
Mm,
Freaking love those stories.
Wow.
nice.
And your son's got that? Or your son got that for you?
No, that was my present to me. No, my presents from them were awesome. My daughter got me a "At least you don't have ugly children" mug, and and my son got me a Street Fighter T-shirt, which I'm wearing right now.
Nice.
Nice.
So I am definitely nerding it up.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I'm wearing a very cool new shirt as well. This is my
Check
cool
it
Jawa.
out.
I got this from Tim Donaldson, who was a Jawa in the original A New Hope. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, he was. I was doing a toy fair on Sunday, and he just happened to come through, and I didn't have one, and he said I needed to have one, so here it is.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Nice.
I am super excited. I've got SAC Anime to go to tomorrow, and this will be like my first time going to an anime or a con as an adult where I wasn't working at a booth. So I am going
Mm.
for I'm going to networks, but I'm going to try to have fun as well.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
am
I went to
definitely
my first con too last week. My first
yeah
con since the 80s.
yeah.
Um, and apparently it's apparently the Seoul Comic Con, but they lost the rights to use Comic Con. So it was called the
Uh,
PopCon.
uh-huh.
And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now,
What's that?
when you
What's that?
say Seoul, do you mean Seoul is in one or Seoul is in Korea?
Seoul is in Korea.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
And
no, I saw the pictures. They look fantastic.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It's not very big. It's a pretty small space. And actually, I realized I actually went to the Seoul Comic Con a few years ago. My nephew, my sister-in-law and her family, niece and nephew, were visiting, and they wanted to go. So we went just for like 2 hours. We went and looked around, but it was like the end of it, and there wasn't really anybody there. So this time, I did a there's like this app called The Director, which is
Mhm.
like the purpose of it is to inspire creators and to help creators who want to work in Korea. And so it's all these like people who have worked in Korea in all these different fields, and they interviewed me for it, and then
Right.
they had a booth there, so they invited me and asked me to do an interview. So another
Nice.
interview. So I went there for that. But yeah, but I wish I had more notice. I would have tried to dress up. I ran into some friends and they were dressed up. A friend of mine was a Sandman. Another one was the Mexican Huerta, like the Saint Death or whatever, Saint Mary of
Right.
Death, or I'm not sure what it's called.
Right. Yeah, I'm going with two other friends, and we're going to be doing Squid Game. Actually, we're meeting a fourth woman, so we have one woman that's going to be a player. I'm going to be front man, and we have two guards. So we just need you here, man.
Yeah, well, my hopefully my passport's going to be renewed sometime soon, and then I I hopefully I'll have it by October, and then I think I'm free to travel around. I need to renew my visa here before I can leave as well. So sometime in October, I think I'll be
Woo.
finally free to go. So we got to find an event.
Right.
Hello, Matt
Matt,
Dayhart.
what is going on, Matt? Thank you for tuning in, and we miss having you here too. Yeah, it's been busy for a lot of people lately. We're just in a kind of a crunch time. This year is flying away from me.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you see? You guys say we get into some topics.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right. So I feel like this is more of the harder topic, but we're gonna save the other topic because David is coming in a little bit later, and okay, David is coming in a little bit later, and as he definitely, I guess he had a story or something that he wanted to relay on.
No
It's gonna be
topics for you.
No topics for you, Ezra.
Oh,
Ezra.
whoa.
They said, "Whoa, what's up, man?" So our first topic for tonight is student loans. It's been a big topic here in the United States. Biden just passed
Especially
a bill, I
lately.
guess, that relieves $10,000 of people's student loans.
So let me start by asking the typical fours question because I don't have all the facts and I haven't been able to read into all of it yet. So is this 100%? Whoa, hello, big faces.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to
Oh,
change
I
the
like
camera.
that. That was good. It was cool.
This one.
Yeah, it works for me. Well, it's harder for me to hold my hand in the right place. But okay, go on.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So does this mean does this mean permanent forgiveness, as in like the $10,000 is you don't owe it, or is it like a very very long deferment?
Oh, I think it means
Um,
you don't owe it.
yeah.
Wow.
You have to apply on the website, the financial aid website. But
Okay.
it's basically if you if you owe over $10,000, I
Hmm.
believe it's up to $10,000 is forgiven.
Okay, so if you've been paying on loans
Yeah, and
for a long
there's
long
other
time,
things too.
Like what?
Oh, I think there. Hang on, I got some people walking by me. There's I think there's also considerations of how much you owe, how much you make. It's not just like a blanket thing for everybody. But yeah.
And I want to say in certain cases you can do up to $20,000. I think it's 10 is the base for everybody, and then you can apply for certain circumstances for more as well.
so okay, so here's a crazy hypothetical. Let's say somebody's been paying on a loan for like 20 something years, right?
Uh-huh.
And and the amount of money that they've dumped in is pretty much the principal. Like
Thanks,
the
Barbara.
principal's done. All they're paying now is the remainder of whatever interest has been accrued. Can that
Right.
still be forgiven? Like, let's say someone starts off with a $20,000 loan. They're paid like $110 a month for so long, and they're down to their last 4,000. Will that 4,000 be forgiven?
That is my understanding.
That's crazy.
I also
That
heard
I
that I also heard that there's talk of also paying some people back who already paid off some stuff, but I'm not sure about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's gonna
I
make
was
so many people upset. My gosh.
I was told that there are certain industries, and maybe somebody can verify me on this, but I was told that there were certain industries where you could get more off of your loan. For example, if you become a teacher or a doctor or something like that. And I don't know what exactly the industries are, but again, I've heard that there are certain industries where you can get more than that $10,000 off. Um, James asks, where can I find out more info about this? It is on your student loan website. What is it,
Okay.
Great Lakes or whatever?
There's a
Um,
bunch of them, like Navient, which used to be
mhm,
Sally Mae.
yep. So yeah, so you can find out
Yeah,
information there, and there's a
before they
like an
destroy the
application
economy.
that you have to fill out, from what I understand. And Barbara says paying other people back is the whole thing that hasn't been determined. Paying other people
Okay.
back.
Thank you for the clarification, Barbara.
Ooh, my face is so big on the screen.
Um,
Thank
um,
you.
so, what are your guys' opinions?
You know, I saw this one meme that that said something like it had like a military like recruiter or something. And it was like, you're totally cutting our ability to recruit more people,
Yeah,
and that's
I saw that.
kind of the point, right? Like I knew that
Yeah,
if they did this was the military. I mean, there are no really good reasons for people to join the military other than free education.
yeah.
Um,
Wait till they find out that
Jump
bullets
online.
can kill you too. That's going to make people not want to join the military as well.
All
Oh my
right.
gosh.
um, yeah, somebody popped the link onto the chat. Let's see. I suck at this.
I think with I don't actually have a lot of information about this, and
Hmm.
I actually wasn't expecting to be a part of the chat today. So
Well, we're
I'm
glad you
kind of
are.
yeah.
Me too.
But I think with a lot of these things,
Hmm.
it's kind of best to go back to first principles.
Hmm.
Meaning, so much of the debate is around, uh, oh well, you made that choice to go to school or whatever, and all this stuff, and it's like, or you could have been a plumber instead of an English teacher or whatever it is,
Right.
or your so basically, if we go to first principles, like, what's the point of education? What's the point of society?
Right.
What benefits society? An educated populace or an uneducated populace?
Hmm.
Right.
And if the purpose of society is to make things better for everybody, and if having at least some portion of the population be highly educated so that we can have new technologies and solve problems and have a good government and all that stuff, if that is beneficial to society, then why are we making it difficult to have a better society?
Right.
Why is it that like it's something where we have to be pitted against one another, where plumbers have to hate English teachers for some reason? That makes no sense, and it serves nobody other than the rich people who are taking all the money out of the system.
You're right.
Like
I
the fact
100%
that like
agree.
plumbers are arguing with English teachers about $10,000 is insane when 5 people have as much money as the bottom 50% of the fucking world.
Right.
Like,
But if they can
why
get the
are
rest
we
of us-
complaining with each other? Why are we fighting each other? That's fucking ridiculous.
Right.
So-
Well, I mean, it's set up that way. If they can get us fighting each other, then we're not looking at the fact that they're the ones that's screwing us over.
Yeah. And also it just feeds into this, or it's being exacerbated by this like kind of anti-intellectualism that is being pushed on the right these days, as
Right.
if there's like some there like it's supposed to, like I was in the trades for most of my life. I mean, I was a carpenter, I did renovations, I was an electrician, and I was a plumber. That's what I did for most of my life. That's how I made my living.
Right.
And I certainly don't have anything against the trades, and I think everybody should fucking unionize, and people who are anti-union are just shooting themselves in the foot, but that's a whole other topic.
Right.
But the fact that we would somehow be anti people having an education is ridiculous. But it's being set up by the powers that be to have this argument so
Right.
that nothing gets done. But yeah, I think they should forgive all the student loans because everybody should be getting as much of an education as they can in order to improve society as much as possible.
Right.
That's the point of society.
I'm totally a believer in the fact that I really think we should not be making a profit from medicine, from the prison system, and from education, because to me those 3 things line up with life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. And we should not be making profits from those things if these are values that we supposedly have here in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I agree with that. That's very well put. I like that.
Right. Can someone read that for me? I'm not wearing my old man glasses right now.
It is all difficult. This is from Barbara Rojas. It is all difficult. I took out loans to support my family. All my loans won't be forgiven, but 80% are. There's so much that hasn't been explained yet, like how much my interest goes with that. Yeah. I think, and the fact that the interest rates and that are so, the fact that interest rates are so high and that there is no bankruptcy and fucking Joe Biden was a part of that, by the way, in getting rid of the bankruptcy for people for their student loans.
Right.
He was a big part of preventing that. What's that?
The only loan in the United States that you can't default on, which I think is
it's insanity.
Crap.
Just taking advantage of people trying to improve their lives and improve society.
Right. And
it's not that it's better or worse than being a plumber. It's just another thing that is necessary for society to be successful.
Right.
We need plumbers, we need teachers, we need doctors, we need all of them.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm screaming. I can barely hear you guys, so I feel like I need to scream everything. I'm not just excited about it. I'm so sorry.
Like you're getting passionate.
Yeah, but I'm not even. I can barely hear you, so I'm talking really loud. But maybe I don't need to. Can you guys hear me if I talk like this?
Yes, we can definitely.
That's okay?
Hear you.
Okay.
Let me ask you, in Korea, would you say like a plumber or a tradesman that their pay rates are more balanced?
No, not at all. No, Korea is much more like the West. So basically, demographically, Korea should be like Germany or Denmark or something, right? It would be very easy for Korea to have a kind of a democratic socialism here. It's a very homogenous culture, and so it'd be really easy to like have those kinds of things. But because the U.S. is so dominant here as a cultural input, they generally tend to have a U.S. way of doing business and a way of kind of viewing people throughout society. Also, culturally, there's something called Yu-Gi-Oh, which is Confucianism, and that also tends to like striate or stratify society in ways like. But I remember I had a student a long time ago whose son was in Sweden, and he was a PhD biologist in Sweden. But the carpenters made as much as he did, because in Sweden that's the way they do things. A trade is treated as just as necessary as every other line of work, and so everybody kind of gets paid reasonably well.
Right.
So yeah, it's not like that here. I wish it was, but it's not. On the labor front, things are much more of like a Republican's wet dream here than it is, except for the healthcare. Yeah,
right.
Not as progressive.
If anybody in the audience has a link to the student loan information, if you wouldn't mind throwing that in the chat, that would be. If anybody out there has that, James was asking about that. Yeah, and I was told, this is slightly before my time, but I was told in like the early 80s and late 70s in California, you could go to school for almost nothing.
It was like that when I was in California 20 years ago. It was like that. It was like $200 a semester or something like that.
Wow.
Right. It's definitely not like that now.
Maybe they'd gone up to 1,000. This was like in the late 90s. I went back and took some courses at City College, and that one I think was like 200 a semester. But I think San Francisco State, I think was like 1,000 or something. Yeah, it had just started going up.
Right. And it was even cheaper before that, from what I understand.
Yeah, sure.
And I believe it was the Reagan administration that kind of changed some of that for us. But I completely agree with you. Without education, we cannot strive as a country.
Yeah, I mean, and you see the ways in which the U.S. is like falling behind in all these various metrics, other developed countries. And it's tied directly to a lack of education,
right?
And as well as, this is going to be maybe a bit of a harsh thing to say, but I think a lack of education is also tied directly into people being easily manipulated, and I think there's a great deal of manipulation through social media going on right now, as well as I think just in general. I think nobody's immune to the fact that the way things are right now, the system itself, the social media system itself, automatically cleaves all discussions into two extremes, so that it creates all this outrage, because outrage is what feeds the beast and feeds clicks and stuff like that. So I think we're all subject to that, and we're all getting manipulated. But I think that being learning about critical thinking techniques, I think which used to be a part of what they called the liberal arts or the humanities or whatever, that part of the education system. I think that that the fact that that's not being taught everywhere, and it's certainly not being taught in high schools anymore.
Right.
But that's, I think, what do they still have debate class? Do they still have that stuff? I don't know.
Not in my kid's school.
Barbara Rojas says, until I went for my bachelor's, I didn't actually use the money for my education, but I had a family to support to allow me to go to school. Yeah, sure. Of course, you you know, that's being able to carve out that time and that money in order to be able to balance all those things is part of what the loans are for. It's
Right.
yeah, certainly.
Right. And I feel like, I feel like the college are just a symptom of bigger problems that we have going in the United States. I mean, right now, what is it in Florida? Right? Aren't they? Where they're hiring retired veterans to be
Yeah.
teachers?
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to have any educational experience or be trained in the field that you're teaching to become a teacher. California, they're doing a very similar thing. They're doing not necessarily veterans, but anyone with any degree can get can get on campus and become a teacher now.
Now
In
that's
fact,
Yeah.
something
yeah,
that's been going on in Florida for a little while. If you have any degree whatsoever, you
mhm.
can automatically take a test for teaching certificate and become an instructor.
Right, which kind of goes back to I mean, to me, it just shows that we don't value instructors, right? I went to college to become an educator. Specifically, my route was early childhood education and special needs development. Um, but it's kind of like it's kind of like having they talk about the police, right, and defunding the police, right, and a lot of people are like, oh, what are you going to have when you have some psychotic person and they're going after somebody who is a therapist or something. Well, that those people have been trained to deal with those situations. The police have not been trained to deal with everybody's medical and psychotic episodes. So even though
Not
it
at
is more
all.
dangerous, they are trained to do that.
And they deal with it every single day.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
I think what Forza just said about the you know, if you have a degree of some kind and then get a teacher certificate, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I
Right.
think that you know, you having a if you understand what the education system is and have been a part of the education system
Right.
and understand what it means to be taught, and then you learn through the teaching certificate how to teach. I think if you're, you know, teaching second grade math or something like that, that seems perfectly fine to me.
Right.
But it's when you have no understanding of what an education system is, and then you are just being brought in as an educator, and then you're being given a list of books that were determined not by educators but by partisan hacks in a you know, who are elected to some school system.
Right.
uh, that is in you know, that's opening the door to fascism, basically. I mean,
Right.
that's how you get that kind of stuff happening.
Right. That
Yeah.
I've seen a meme directly about that too, about how the teachers. Oh, it was about Starship Troopers, the movie Starship Troopers. They were saying
Oh
veterans teaching school is exactly like what they were talking about in the direction that we're headed in.
yeah.
And as a teacher, not to put too much on what I do. I currently work at a school with children with special needs. Not all of them are physical. Some of them, they've just had a rough life. They don't necessarily have mental challenges or things, but they just had it difficult and haven't learned to socialize the same way that you and I have. But that's another part of teaching that I deal with on a daily basis. It's not just the education, it's the social emotional development. And I wonder, do these veterans, are they qualified when a kid comes in? Because if a kid doesn't have a steady place to sleep at night, if they're hungry when they're coming to school, they're not going to be paying attention to whatever it is you're teaching. So do these people, are they able to suss these things out and see other things going on besides education, or does it matter? Am I overthinking? Maybe I'm doing too much.
Hmm. Well, I think it matters. I'm curious. I can't. I can, but it's kind of difficult for me to open the chat and see what people are saying. I see that
Right.
there's a lot of chats.
Yeah, I
What
wanted.
have the comments been?
Let's see. I'll put these up if somebody else can read these out.
Okay, James Navarro. Well, that's good and bad. My father-in-law retired from HP Intel, and they hired him to teach basic computer skills and beginning coding programming. Yeah, well, I mean, I would imagine that first of all, for things like that, wouldn't you want to be taught by someone that's been in the industry for decades? Yes, I think for probably your father, I don't know, but probably your father went to school at some
Right.
point. But even if he hadn't, I think that you can get college credits for your work history. That is something that you can do. Like if you want to go back to school, I explored doing that to finish up a degree, which I never did, but which you can use your life, and work history in order to get some credits towards a degree. And I think if you have a rich work history that's beneficial to something, and you can share your work experience in a classroom setting, yeah, of course.
Right.
I think that's great. I think it's wonderful that your father's doing that.
Right.
Barbara Rojas says, what Ark says is exactly right. I didn't see what Ark said, so
That had to do with the fact that police aren't trained to deal with necessarily all the different mental issues.
Oh, what you said. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
duh. I forgot your Ark. Okay, what Ark says is exactly right. The police are not taught to deal with any kind of mental or in some kinds of physical illness. And
Right.
it looks like it's getting cut off, maybe? I'm not sure. But, yeah. Yeah, and I got to say also that what an unfortunate slogan defund the police is. Just like it was crafted specifically to defeat itself.
Right.
It's not about getting rid of police entirely, although I'm sure there are some people on the left who do think that, but it's about allocating funds for different things. So instead of making it's like that whole thing, like if your only tool is a hammer, then everything problem is
looks like
a
a nail.
nail.
Right.
So, in the same way, like if you just say the police are the solution to every problem, you send the police to every situation, then they're going to get treated like a nail that needs to be hammered down.
Right. Yeah.
I
No,
look
I
forward to
completely
find the
agree.
site and apply live. That's what
Okay.
James Navarro says.
Find the site. and apply it.
Oh, he wants me to find it and go apply for the loan forgiveness. Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That
My
sounds like some
goodness.
weird, like fetish site stuff. I don't know if I know this is after dark, but that's getting a little juicy.
Steve, what's going on, my man? Yeah, and in fact, you know what? Steve is an EMT and a fireman, and he can attest to this. I feel like I had a friend that was in a situation one time where I guess he was having an epileptic seizure, and the fire department, the police had come out on the scene first. And I guess when you have a seizure, you're very, very disoriented, and you can become rowdy, and the police, apparently beat the crap out of him before the EMTs got on the scene, and they're like, "Hey, dude, chill out. He's having a seizure." So he ended up suing the city because the police beat on him because they thought he was just being completely unruly, but they don't have the medical training to understand that these types of things might happen.
Sure. Hey, Steve. I actually went to one Burning Man. He says, "Make Burning Man dangerous again." I went to Burning Man in '97. I actually worked at Burning Man.
Oh wow!
I worked at a sound company. I used to do sound in clubs, like in punk clubs and stuff like that. And I worked at this place called Sound on Stage in San Mateo, I think, just south of San Francisco. But they did the sound systems for Huey Lewis and the News and Santana and I think Metallica. But they also had a side company called California Cases, making road cases. And I worked in the California Cases side, building road cases. But anyway, we got hired. One of the guys from Sound on Stage was one of the original Burning Man guys from the beach at Burning Man. When they burned it on the beach in San Francisco. And they put on a big show for the first time where they had its stages and stuff. And I was a sound guy, and I actually got paid to go to Burning Man in '97. But that was the first year, because he said make it dangerous again. But that was actually the first year that they had the whole like Black Rock City that was laid out very specifically, and you weren't supposed to go beyond, because the year before, a friend of mine was camped out far away from everybody else, and a dune buggy ran over his tent.
Oh my God.
And that's what the answer to that was, to make it the Black Rock City and make it like specific, like a layout, a specific design and stuff. So I went the first year of that, but it was still pretty crazy. I mean, Steve says people who come out of seizures, people are not aware of their surroundings and what's going on. I'm working for BLM at Burning Man. Oh, cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Right.
Yep, that does happen. Okay.
Yeah, I think that just in general, our education system is broke. I personally saw this loan forgiveness as a great first step, and not just because I'm part of that forgiveness, but I've seen so many people that have a loan of like $30,000, and then 20 years later, their loan is $50,000, and they've been making payments every single month, but somehow their loans just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So let me jump in and ask you guys a question. So you've obviously seen the outrage by certain individuals at what's going on. How would you respond to their outbursts? The primary one being, well, why should we have to pay for your loans? That's your responsibility. How do you respond to that when people that's their first response? I
would like to ask you, why should I have to pay for your dumbass kid to go to school? Particularly if I don't have, and Aaron, I'm not calling your kids dumb, dude. I'm just meaning that as a blanket statement, but it's part of living in a society, right? It's not just about you. It's about making sure, it's about making sure everybody in your group, in your society, has equal access. And I don't necessarily think fairness means everybody gets the same thing. To me, fairness means getting what you need.
Did somebody in your background just say, man, was that a stupid ass question? Did I just hear that correctly?
Welcome to my home. But we do this all the time. Look at the bank bailouts that we just had. Look at the automotive industry bailouts. Look at the airline industry bailouts. Why should I have to pay for these companies? And particularly when we had the whole, the meltdown a few years ago, not only were banks getting money, but then right after that, CEOs were getting like these $1 million bonuses because they saved their bank. So not only was that money not going back to where it was supposed to be going, it was made to, just pay out people that are already overpaid.
During when the pandemic first happened, the thing that destroyed the economy, that's fucking us all up right now, was not the stimmy checks to regular people. It was the bond buybacks, that the quantitative easing, the money printing that the Fed was doing, that was like $6 trillion. And now all that did was line the pockets of people who are in the stock market.
Right, the hedge fund managers.
And now, in order to resolve inflation, they're trying to keep people from working. Because it makes it like they're trying to slow down the economy to ease inflation, to lower demand, so that the prices go down. And so it's like it's like that thing they always say. It's always socialism for the rich and capitalism for everybody else.
Right.
The corporations get bailouts, the banks get bailouts, and they always privatize profit and make public risk. So risk is always public, and profit is always private. And so that's what happened with the 2008 bailout. Obama bails out the banks, but then all these people are losing their homes. They didn't bail out people's mortgages. So this
Right.
is turning it around. So now instead they're bailing out actual human beings, individual human beings. I think a good example is when you talk about the car industry. Like the reason they bailed out, like the way they frame bailing out the car industry is because it's going to save a bunch of jobs, right? So that's like freeing up people so they have jobs and they're allowed to contribute to the economy by buying things and spending, because you have to keep the economy moving, right?
Right.
This does the exact same thing, but instead of going through a company, it's just giving it to people. And it does the exact same thing. It frees people up to allow the economy to keep moving.
Right.
Now, this is, granted, this is not anti-inflationary. It's not going to be deflationary because it's going to keep the economy moving. They need to slow down the economy to lower demand in order to drive down inflation. So this is, from an economics standpoint, a little counterintuitive because it's. So I think there's a bit of midterm election year politics going on in terms of the timing.
Right.
Because it is going against what the Federal Reserve is trying to do in terms of slowing the economy, which I think they should just raise the tax rate back to pre-Reagan years on corporations and just get that money from the corporations, and then we don't have to worry about that shit. But
let me ask you, do you think we've gone past that, like almost to a point of no return? Because I've heard things, okay, I've heard that argument many times, right? Let's tax the corporations. Let's tax them like we used to do in the 60s and 70s. This is when we were having restructuring of the country, and you know, that was a time when America was great, right? But I've also heard the argument that if you start taxing corporations at a higher rate, they'll just move to another country. So, for example, I guess Ireland is really popular for a lot of big companies. Apple, I think, set up their headquarters in Ireland because of many favorable tax breaks. So, is it better to get something as opposed to nothing, or should we try to raise these rates?
Okay, so is it like, so you're kind of saying, listen, I could punch you in the face, but I will just punch you in the arm. How about that?
Right.
Okay, I'm just going to punch you in the arm, not punch you in the face. Or if you don't want me to punch you at all, I'm just going to punch you in the face.
Right.
If you say no, I punch you in the face. If I say yes, I'll punch you in the arm.
Right.
I mean, it's like, that's basically my point is that's just a bullying tactic. You don't have to listen to that. Who's going to turn down the largest market on the planet?
Right. Did you hear that? She's yelling, "Thank you, John."
Yeah. Who's going to turn down the largest market on the planet? Right. I mean, this is you know, just threaten them back. Say, okay, yeah, you fucking sell your products in Ireland. You know, good luck making all that money.
Right.
So we can just bring it right back. You know.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, I don't think we need to keep getting bullied by these giant corporations. I think we have to play hardball with them. They did just fine before Reagan gave away all that money, and I think they'll do just fine again.
Right.
And of course, they're going to try and turn that all and make it everybody else's fault. Like another bullying tactic will be, well, we're going to have to raise prices, but they can close down all the various loopholes to make the you know, CEO payments and all that stuff. They can just currently they're just hiding all that money by either overseas, which they can close those loopholes, or by giving it to CEOs and their upper management people, distributing it amongst them, and or their shareholders. But I don't have a problem with that really that much. But yeah, so you can close down all those loopholes as well to make that so that they can't just raise the prices. I mean, There's a government. You can dictate these things. I shouldn't use the word dictate because everybody's going to say I'm trying to be a dictator and I'm a socialist or a communist or something like that. But the government is ours. We are the people.
But
We can decide how it works.
Why do you think we have so many problems in the United States as compared to, say, for example, in Canada? So I've heard with the pharmaceutical companies, right? First off, 95% of pharmaceutical companies do not pay taxes in America. They are offshore companies. But now in other countries, they're able to regulate the amount of prices for medicine, and basically all the money that they're losing in other countries, they're dumping onto us here in the United States to make up their profit margins.
Yeah. Barbara says, I'm going to loop back around and say that this new thing is the least that could be done. Is that, Barbara, is that in reference to the student loans? I'm assuming that she means the student loans.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I mean, something being done, but yeah, it definitely to me, it definitely has a feel of, we're all dying of thirst and they're squeezing a dirty old rag over our mouths, and so we can get so.
Right. So what do you think the solution is? I mean, obviously people are fighting about this, and even Steven had a comment up here about, I'm not paying for other people's kids or whatever. But we do, right? I mean, that's what a society is, right?
Yeah, if you want to have, especially if you don't have kids or something like I don't have kids, somebody's got to change my diapers when I get old, right? And not that you have to have a PhD to change diapers, but for healthcare or whatever, somebody's going to be giving me my IVs, somebody's going to be whatever it is. So it benefits all of us to have an educated populace. Somebody's going to have to build the new technology. Somebody's going to have to fucking figure out climate change.
Right.
All those things require education. So why we would demonize people wanting to be educated is beyond me. I don't understand that at all. That makes no fucking sense. Right. But
I'd like to ask Steve, would he have gone into the Army if they did not offer college?
Yeah. Good question.
I mean, how much of an incentive is that? I mean, I realize there are some people that maybe they come from a small town, they don't have a lot of job options, so the military is something that looks good for them. There are a lot of people that go strictly to get that college money, but people have different reasons for it. So, Steve, I'm wondering, would you have gone into the Army if there was no college money being offered to you? All right.
Then don't pay for our kids. I see. And so he took it as like an extra bonus.
Right.
Okay. When you were asking for what the solution is, and I would say that for all of the things, all of the problems that we're having, I started out by saying in the beginning, it's all about first principles. So what is the purpose of society? Why are we, to me, and this is an open debate. Some people think the purpose of society is for shareholders to get rich, right? For capitalism. And that's the purpose of society. Some people think the purpose of society is to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Right. And to maximize happiness and to maximize well-being among the largest percentage of the population. That is something that I believe. So when you start getting into where we're being pitted against one another, I would just say, why are you angry about somebody being educated? Why are you angry about why aren't you angry that the system was allowed to be developed that took advantage of people trying to have an education?
Right. It's Dave.
Oh, hey.
What's up,
anyway,
Dave?
Guys. Listen, I have way overstayed when I was supposed to. I'm supposed to have been back home like 45 minutes ago. And I'm live by mosquitoes here. I'm going to let David take over with the opposing point of view now. And all right.
The
Hi, David.
opposing point of view. Hey, how's it going, John? How do you know
Thank you,
my
John.
my viewpoint's opposing? I haven't been listening yet.
Hold on.
Okay.
I just got here.
I have to sign off. Thanks everyone
John,
for
good to see you,
listening.
man.
Yeah, great having a conversation with you guys, and I'll see you all next time. All right.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
being on, John.
See you, man.
Yeah, see you.
Have a good one, John.
Hey, so let me rewind all the way back to that when I asked you the question concerning people's asking, why should I have to pick this up? Why? All those angry memes, all those angry people, all those angry reactions. So look, I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. Okay. So when the loan forgiveness is applied for and is granted, I guess my question is, where is that fundage coming from? Because that appears to be what I'm seeing people get upset, like really, really, really upset about. Like one of the big ones I saw the other day, scrolling through, was this meme where, with the small letter, the big letter, small letter, big letter, why are my tax dollars going to pay for these people's kids to go to school? That kind of thing. So I'm kind of wondering where is this fundage coming from?
Good question. I'm gonna be back in just a second. I need to run to the restroom. David, you take this on.
You just straight jump.
Wow. I guess he had
Dave.
to go.
I
Hey, what's
reckon
up,
so.
man?
How are you, brother?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Just got back from so my son and I joined a mall train club.
Oh, nice. One of my best friends is into that.
Oh, the place is awesome. Yeah, it's one of those cool things that, you can do with your kid. Some good father-son bonding time and get to relive your childhood at the same time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was just kind of curious because I'm seeing a lot of folks, for the subject of the loan forgiveness, and I'm seeing a lot of people very, 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 very like strong arm against it. So
okay,
I'm just kind of curious where it's all coming from.
You know what? I don't know specifically where the money's coming from, but it ain't coming out. It ain't coming out of the ether. It's like any kind of other big bailout, which personally I'm opposed to those things too, because it devalues the dollar. You're paying off I guess if you want, you're paying off the suppliers, which drives drives the demand up, which in turn drives the price up. So my point, and I haven't gotten a chance to really get involved in this subject too much, it's real simple. If you really want to do something about student loans, start lowering the cost of the loans to begin with and start lowering the interest rates that are involved. Paying these loan sharks off is, I use the term loosely there, but paying that predatory nature isn't doing anything for the good. It's like throwing money at every little problem. Doesn't make the problem go away. If anything, it encourages more problems.
I guess what I'm getting at is, if somebody takes out an $80,000 loan and is forgiven $60,000 of it, does that $60,000 come out of the American taxpayer's pocket? Or
yes.
Does that come, or it? So it does. See, that was my question. That's what I wanted to know. So then that in turn is the reason why there are so many very, 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 very upset people on Facebook screaming at the top of their lungs, "I ain't paying for y'all's kids to go to college."
They try and candy coat it enough to make it sound pretty. Oh no, it comes out of the National Reserve, or it comes from, we're lowering a deficit over here. They don't outright say, yeah, you guys are paying for it, because that's what actually happens.
Right.
Right.
You know, the long and
Okay.
short of it is the government is funded by the citizens in the country. That's where the government gets its money.
Right.
So if
It,
the government is forgiving loans, well, then they're just redistributing wealth, or redistributing monetary systems to be able to handle it. Those loans aren't forgiven; they don't just disappear. Obviously, the taxpayer has to pay for them, and I think two things: bullshit to begin with. Okay, if you are a grown ass adult able to make your grown ass decisions, then you can deal with your own grown ass consequences of it. If you want to say, oh well, these kids, they don't really know what they're, okay, I'm gonna call bullshit at that one right off the bat. You're old enough to vote. You're old enough to make a difference in this country. You're old enough to fight for your country.
you're not old
You're
enough
old
to
enough,
drink.
whatever. Hey, you want to get really pokey at this? You're old enough to change your own gender, but hey, you're not smart. You're not grown enough to handle your own.
So let me ask you this,
your
David.
own financial your
Why
own
is
finances.
why is it that this is the only loan in the United States that is not that you can't default on?
Because
Why do they make? Why is it that
I can
18-year-olds
answer that
are
right
made?
now.
Why are 18-year-olds made to make decisions that 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds don't have to make? Why should
Well,
I pay for the
I
auto
got
industry?
I got two answers for that.
Okay.
One, some of these loans are okay. Well, actually, I don't know for sure about the second one. Okay, let's go for the initial one. Because you can't repossess a fucking diploma. You can't repossess somebody's degree. You can repossess a house.
Okay.
You can repossess a car. You can default on those items when you go bankrupt, and your house gets foreclosed on. It's not like they let you keep the house.
Right.
All right, your credit score goes right in the shitter. You don't get to keep your good credit score.
Right.
Now, the reason you can't default on a student loan is because they can't repossess your degree. Now, I think that if you really want to get into the whole loan forgiveness, how about this? You want to get forgiven for your loan for the $80,000 that you spent on a bullshit degree that's actually not going to further your career. How about we just strip you of the degree then? We'll forgive it, but you don't get the degree. You don't get the credentials.
You know what? I would almost be fine with that because these credentials don't mean shit anyways. Like, why did I have to go to college to be a college teacher, to learn how to educate children, to learn about social emotional development and how to help children, if some veteran can walk off the street and just now become a teacher? What did that do for me? Or is it that education just is just shit and it's not valuable at all? Is that what we're saying? That
Well,
education has no value?
education is becoming less valuable
Well,
because
I
they're
definitely agree.
they're making this big push that, oh well, you need to you know how many people went to college in like the 50s and 60s? Maybe about 5-10% of people went to college overall throughout the entire country. That jumped up to about 20% in the late 80s, early 90s, and it is now somewhere around the 35 to 40% bracket. The credentials aren't worth what they used to be. There's a big push that, hey, if you get your college degree, it'll make you more valuable, and that's not true.
That used to be the world we live. We don't live in that world anymore.
No, now they like to make you think that because you go to college, basically you spend a whole shitload of money to go hang out, drink, have some crazy life experiences, learn a bunch of bullshit, and get well, I'm not going to bring the political side of it into this right now. But let's just say that I truly believe that the university system does actively push a certain ideological belief system upon its students pretty regularly.
Well, I mean, every
So,
educational system does it.
okay,
There are church colleges that push their
of
agendas.
course there are. I'm not saying that there's not, but that you don't see Christian universities saying, "Well, you're not going to amount to anything unless you get a degree." No, they're like, "Okay, you want a degree? You can come here. You're going to have to do some theological belief meanderings as well."
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the banks. I mean, obviously, the banks are always in the position where they're trying to make more money, right? So
Of course
if
they
they
are,
can-
and
if
they
they
are
can push
completely
the-
and the banks are completely in cahoots with the government because, well, quite honestly, the banks have a little problem. The government always comes to their aid.
right, right.
Bailouts.
And I don't think that's fair.
am
If we're going to do
fully
it for the
opposed to
banks,
all bailouts. If your financial situation, whether it be professional, corporate, or personal, if you fuck your shit up, you should pay for your own shit as well. It's
Right.
called, consequences. We all get them.
right?
Everybody has consequences for various things. Should
But
those
it doesn't
consequences
seem to
be
work that
less
way in
because
this
of this?
country. Everybody has consequences except for the people at the top. That's the way that I feel. That's why I'm not necessarily against the student loan.
The people at the
And
top, and then the people in the middle who have to pay for everybody else's shit. The
Right.
people on top and the people that are below. I think the middle class pay the worst of it.
Right, you're 100% correct on that. Um,
God, what time is it? Oh, 9:22. Yeah, I didn't really think that I had to worry about this sort of stuff when I was younger, and then I grew up and realized this is a fear I never knew I had.
oh,
Master of the
look at
segue.
that! Look at that! Look at the master himself. All right, well, I guess we'll get over to that one. All right, hey, I just want to say, really good discussion, guys. I don't really know what the answer is, and I can't say that that David has the right answer or I have the right answer. Fours has the right answers. It's a
Of
really
course
Fours
I have
doesn't
the
have
right
any
answer.
answers. Fours has asked questions. Hell, even dumbass questions apparently. And here we are.
All right. Steve says, what does Steve say here? Fix your problems first, then fix others later. If you, have people focus on their own shit. All right. So that was student loans. Obviously, a really big topic, especially in this country. And let us move on. You guys ready for the next topic? Sounds like Dave is. He had that kick-ass
Hey.
transition.
That is the whole reason why I drove. Well, I'm not going to say how fast I drove. I'm on verifiable. Yeah.
I
No,
love James's response.
hurried
The
up to
answer
get
is
here.
buy more sabers.
Oh my god.
And James, by the way, you need to let me know if you need those tickets for SAC Anime tomorrow too.
I do believe that there's very few problems that can't be solved with a saber across the head, or at least the ass. 100%.
I don't
Get
think
yours from
anybody,
Kyber Cave today.
Get yours. It's great. That was perfect.
I don't think anybody here would disagree with you. All right, our next topic, and I'm very interested about this. Before you guys came on, John and I were on, and we're like, how do you if your fear is unknown, how do you know you have that fear? So I'm very interested to hear this, and I hear even Miss Marissa has keyed up some theme music for Fours' story.
Story time with Fours.
And Dave, you had a story too, right?
Oh, I can pull one out of my ass, I'm sure.
Hey, I want to say thank you to Steven, and thank you to Barbara and James for contributing so much to that conversation as well. That was a really, really good topic.
I
All
knew
right.
that one was gonna generate some heat. I knew it would. But Anthony wanted to talk about that one, and then Anthony isn't here.
All right.
We're on like topic 2. Where the hell
Anthony,
is
where are
everybody?
you at?
He said he was
Veronica,
on his way home.
Aubrey, come
from
on
work.
in.
Okay. All right. Our next topic, unknown fears. Who wants to take this one away?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's story time with Fours.
Okay, wait. Let me get the. Should I get the? Tell me when you're ready for music.
I'll cue you. First, let me set the stage first. All right. So we're gonna go back. Oh, hang on.
Don't delete me off the screen if you can help it. I got to go check on something real quick. I'll be right
Get the
back,
cup
though.
here.
I'm listening. I got you
So-
right up here.
So Fours is going to go into his storytime voice. So once upon a time, a few years back, I worked for a company that had several group homes. It's a company that deals with disabled individuals with severe, and I mean severe, maladaptive behaviors. Behaviors including like self-injurious behavior, aggression, lots of violence. So back then, go ahead and cue it up.
All right. It's coming on in just a second.
So I worked on a property that was off-site of the main campus. I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. We good?
Okay. I think we're good.
All right. So I actually worked on a farm. There were 3 houses. There was the farmhouse, there was the middle house, and then down on the west end of the property was the ranch house. I was supervising on the evening shift one night, and it was about 11 o'clock, and I get a phone call from the ranch house. And one of the employees there let me know that one of the individuals had busted the lock on his window and he AWOL'd. Yeah, he AWOL'd. And she had no idea how long this individual was gone. So I immediately called the manager, and she was like, you need to get on the line with the police right now. You need to call 911. You need to let them know who we are, what we do, blah, 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 all that. So I did. Once that was all set, we got out onto the property and we started looking around. So I'm going to paint you the picture. On the west end, heading out of the farmhouse, there was a horse track by the barn. The horse track was extremely long, and it was full circle with a huge field, dead center of it. Okay, it is 11:30, and I've got two employees out. One heading toward the road, and I'm heading out toward the horse track, because beyond the horse track is woods that lead to the highway. I get out onto the horse track and I cross it and I get into the open field. I start moving into the field and it's getting darker and it's getting darker, and I had to turn my phone light on. So at that point, everybody on the property could see where I was, because, you know, but that was like the only light out there.
Right.
Here's the kicker. As I move further and further into the field, and it gets darker and darker, it's almost to the point where I can't see in front of me anymore. And then I notice in the peripheral, everything goes black. I turned around, and all the lights on the property and in the 3 houses had gone out. We lost power. The power went out. And I'm in the dead center of this horse track field. And every direction I look, it's nothing but black. Think of it like when Elle is doing her mind thing on Stranger Things, and it's just her in the middle of all this black. That's what it was like, with just me and my light. It dawned on me at that moment, because I'm out there and I'm yelling this kid's name so I can get a response to get him back to the house, that this field had rabbit holes, gopher holes, and snake holes. And it's 11:30 and it's pitch black and there's no power. Not to mention the fact that this kid was 19, about 6'2", 285 pounds, with full access to every bludgeoning and sharp object in the open barn.
Wow.
And I'm in the middle of the field in the black, and from around me, and I had no idea until that moment that I was scared of dark open spaces. Ever since then, if I ever found myself walking down a street, if it's too quiet, if it's completely dark around me and it's wide open, freaks me the freak out. But imagine if you will, you don't know where this kid is. You don't know what he has. You don't know where he's going. You don't know what he's going to do. He was already agitated and AWOL'd. And it was an excruciatingly scary situation.
Wow.
And it was at that moment, in the middle of that wide open black field, and I had a light on, which means he and everybody else on that property knew right where I was, but I didn't know where anybody else was.
Wow.
And that power was out. It was frightening.
Where did he
Truthfully.
end up popping up? Obviously you found him at some point.
So the story does come to an end. He was picked up by the police at one of the gas stations that was about 2 miles down the road. He made it over the horse track, all the way through the field, over the other side of the track, through the woods, out to the highway, and then followed the highway for 2 straight miles.
Wow.
He reached the gas station at about, I want to say 20 after 12, made a call to his mom saying, "Come get me, I can't live here anymore." And she notified the police where he was, and they picked him up and brought him back.
Wow.
And it was crazy. But yeah, it was
I can
right.
imagine that'd be terrifying.
Oh, it was terrifying. Like many of us were freaking out because I was the supervisor on duty at the time, and this girl apparently had fallen. Because again, I was up at the farmhouse finishing all the paperwork, and I had 2 people stationed down at that ranch house. And I guess the girl who was supposed to be watching and supervising the students at the time, because it was sleeping hours, she either didn't do the room check or she fell asleep on the job, because this kid managed, and he had it planned. He had all that time to jimmy that lock on that window, undo the wiring for the security system that should have gone off, get it open, pop the screen out, get all the way out, and then get 3 some odd miles down the road.
Wow.
Through all of that. And and that property was wide. He could have grabbed anything. He could have done anything.
Right.
It was insane. But I gotta tell you, man, no thought of being fired or anything was scarier than how vulnerable and helpless I felt in the middle of that field, surrounded by black.
Right.
And just the movement that was around me. I don't know what animal was. I thought there were footsteps. I thought he was coming at me with a machete or something, because we had all those tools in the barn, and the barn was right next to the horse track. So yeah, man. So the unknown fear. Apparently I have a fear of wide open spaces that are dark.
Right.
It just emerged right then and there. I haven't been the same since.
I find with myself, I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is a something that happens naturally or if it's just me, but I feel like as I get older, I get more fears that didn't exist. Um, I don't know what it is, but like I used to love horror movies when I was a kid and roller coasters, but now like I get this weird anxiety around it.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I had assumed that as you get older, you would have less fears because you're more experienced with the world. But maybe because I am more experienced with the world, I'm having more fears now.
So do you have a story of something like that?
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I have to think on that for a little bit. What about you, Dave? I heard you had a story as well.
Okay. All right. So
Do we need music for you too?
no, I don't need music. In fact, the peace and the quiet is better. Just
Music is
Yeah.
for Forza story time.
bring it on in. All right. So my fear, quite honestly, is that I'm not really afraid of anything. No, I'm just kidding. um, it really takes a lot to get me. I don't have a lot of fears, but after having become a parent,
Right.
when I've become responsible for another life, I have a fear of making mistakes. And I do a lot of building. I do a lot of electrical. I do structural work. I work around gas. Didn't used to be nervous about any of that. I'm still not nervous, but I find that I will go over my work several times. Well, maybe not several times, but I will definitely once over my work and then I'll once over it again
Right.
because I have a fear of making a mistake and somebody else having to pay for that mistake, physically or when it comes to safety,
Right.
because I feel like it's my job to make sure that something is done right. If something doesn't, I've never had an accident occur as a result of my work, but it doesn't mean I don't have a little tickle in the back of my mind every now and then. For instance, yesterday, okay, so yesterday I had to work an ungodly long day. All right, I had to drive out to Modesto. I live in Castro Valley, so I had to drive out to. Oh shit! Now people know where I live. Okay, stalkers, please. All right, I had to drive out to Modesto, about an hour and a half away.
If you want his address, call me.
Yeah.
Delete. No, I'm just okay, so about an hour and a half away. Spent the first several hours getting materials for this job that I was working on out there. I was working on a mobile home. I don't recommend ever doing work on a mobile home if you can help it. Those things are janky to begin with. They got all sorts of structural problems. The materials that are involved have a tendency to decay and rust and become worthless and dangerous. So I had to install a cooktop and do a bunch of electrical work. Looking at the existing electrical work was scary enough. Working on the gas lines, let's just say that if I was a building inspector and I saw the original work done on that, I'd be like, this can't pass. I don't know when this thing was actually built, but it did have black California license plates, so that should give you an idea how old this thing is.
Right.
I spent the entire day working very hard, making sure everything fit. I didn't actually end up leaving the job site until about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. Because there was nobody there, so I could finish the project. I did not want to have to go back today. My parents were amazingly awesome enough to say, oh, we'll keep your son overnight if it'll make things easier for you. I'm like, sure, okay, not a problem. That'd be great. So I went and, continued this project until it was just finished, until I had everything done.
Right.
And that hour and a half drive home last night, as I was already exhausted, was the longest hour and a half drive I think I've had in a long time, because I kept mentally going over every step of that project, going, did I do this? Yes. Did I do that? Yeah. Is this done? Check. Good to go. That is my biggest fear, is that I'm going to somehow do something wrong and it's going to cost somebody else. And
You know,
not
I've
not
often had the
monetarily or anything like that, but it's going to cost somebody else, life or limb.
right.
That's my fear.
I
That's my unknown
I
fear.
I have the fear of not so much. I didn't have this when I was younger, but now that I'm a father, I have the fear of uh killing myself, like doing something stupid, not like suicide or something, but doing something stupid and electrocuting myself or something like that. And I have fear for my son. Like what does that mean for him? Growing up. So my fears, I think, aren't necessarily based around me, but they're based around my child and my family.
I posted not too long ago about a fear, which is the when I'm hiding something, like how you put something away or you hide it so that nobody else can find it, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep that out of everybody else's hands for now. And then when I go in and put it in that drawer, put it in a little hiding space, I'm like, what if I die? Like, should I,
Right.
should I have the a clue or tell somebody that it's there, and then like that defeats the purpose of hiding it in the first place. So,
Right.
I
um,
got an idea for that. How about if you just kind of make it known that there's this one thing hidden, and we're not gonna tell you where it is, and that way when you die we can all go on a crazy treasure hunt.
okay, yeah.
What about you guys?
So
Have you guys I know with me, this is what I was thinking about when I saw this topic come up. And I'm not sure if it's really on exactly, but during the pandemic, I remember specifically it was the day before Thanksgiving. I had an anxiety attack. And I had like one in my life before, so I knew what it was. Uh, but it happened to me like for several months in a row. Like, I mean, I would go a week, and maybe out of that week I would only get 2 nights of good sleep, because every other night I woke up in just this panic attack. And for me, I don't know what it was exactly. What I related it to was the fact that my schedule had been so fucked. Like, like I didn't have a job that I had to be at 8 a.m. And I didn't realize how important that schedule was to me. And this may sound really weird too, but another thing that kind of threw me off was my mom had just passed at the end of 2019. So she passed about 4 months before the pandemic started. And when she passed, we got rid of cable TV because it was just way too expensive. But one of the things that I didn't realize that my brain was tied into was the fact that when I had the TV on, it was almost like a clock for me. You know what I mean? Like if I heard a certain show come on, I knew it was 10 in the morning, or I knew it was noon. And in some way that helped me kind of keep a schedule. And I feel like when we got rid of cable, that was another feature in my life where I just felt like I was just kind of drifting out there. Did anybody else get any anxieties or have challenges with the pandemic?
I feel like life got better with the pandemic, honestly.
Yeah.
I felt like there wasn't as much pressure to be around other people. And the I okay, so this is actually one of my fears, where I don't like touching. I don't like hugging. I was raised with a coroner investigator, um, and she did forensic pathology and stuff. And I was raised with the don't touch people, be careful about who you're too close to. And my mom was wonderful. She was so much fun. She would do stuff like we would talk about like bloodborne pathogens at dinner time. um and she would be like, be careful about like it would just be the weirdest things, like don't touch that surface, uh blah blah blah, this could be on it, like be careful, wash your hands constantly, wash your clothes, if you come in the house, wash your clothes. She was very meticulous because she would be around things that could kill you,
Right.
and be picking up bodies that of people that were dead because of some infectious thing.
Right.
So she would come home, and that always instilled a weird thing in my brain. Like she would like talk about like stuff that could come in the air. If someone like blew smoke, and if they're infected, like you could breathe it in, and now you're gonna die of whatever they're dying of. Um, and like how often like that stuff happens. So it's always been like a weird fear to me about like people that smoke. Like I'm like, are they infected? Like, am I gonna get some sort of thing now that they don't know about? Or if I touch this surface, like does it have like a pathogen on it? So I feel like with the pandemic, I felt like there was less of a pressure because people were like people that are really disgusting and like don't usually wash their hands, or like feeling like they had to wash their hands now.
Right.
So I was like all excited, like yes, like people are washing their hands and like not touching me, like
Right.
woo. So, I loved what happened with the pandemic. Now I feel like people like have gone back to like the disgustingness
The
of
bad habits.
the bad habits. So
Right.
Yeah, now it's more like if you touch me, you're gonna want to wash your hands afterwards.
yeah.
What about you, Force? Did the pandemic do anything for you? Was it just me?
You know just since you're talking about the pandemic, there's something I want to talk about. Totally unrelated to unknown fears, but maybe
I'll be
not.
mute.
Okay, so I was wondering, with all the people getting afraid during the pandemic, do you think that may have contributed to people having their immune systems weakened because of stress and fear? And so they end up getting sick because they were worried about it, making them more susceptible to it. Because it seemed like the virus really had a very high fluctuation of what it would actually do to people.
Right.
I mean, generally speaking, you get the flu, you get the flu. Period. I mean, there's no one or two ways about it. You're either sick or you're not. But with the corona, it seems like some people just get a headache. Some people just kind of lose their sense of taste or smell. Some people end up drowning in their own lung fluid. So, I know that underlying conditions had a lot to do with that as well. But I wonder how much of that was because people were buying in and taking huge bites of this homegrown fear
Right.
that was being pushed.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't think I dealt with that in that same way. I think my fears were more like about getting back to normal as opposed to getting sick. In fact, in full disclosure, I didn't even get my booster or my shots until about 6 months ago or so. I was very concerned. I didn't necessarily trust our government or why we were getting these vaccines or how fast they were being pushed through. So I personally didn't get those. So I was less concerned about that type of sickness, but I was more concerned about the world, like the changes in the world, and it's stupid things too, like the fact that I couldn't go to Walmart at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. I didn't realize how important those things were to me. You know what I mean? Having the ability
Going
to
to
go out late
Walmart
at night.
2:30 in the morning.
Well, I mean, at that time,
What do you
I
do
had a
at
very,
night?
very busy life. So sometimes, having multiple jobs, 2 o'clock in the morning is the only time you can get to the store. But then
Too
all
bad
of a
certain
sudden,
sporting goods stores aren't open at 2:30 in the morning for you.
Dicks, perhaps.
Sorry, yeah. I'm gonna throw it. I'm making it a point to at least throw one Dick's joke in to every show. I have to. So it's becoming a moral imperative.
It's not Kyber Cave After Dark without a dick joke somewhere.
Have they called that about sponsoring us yet?
Oh. So what other kind of fears do you have? I don't know if this fits under unknown fears, but this one is one that cracked me up. when I used to work at the mall, I worked at a children's clothing store, and I had a friend that worked over at Disney Store, and she had told me at the time. This should tell you how long ago it was. At the time, Finding Dory had come out, and this woman, I guess, who was an employee, had a tremendous fear of sharks. So she had to quit working at Disney Store for like 6 months because even just the sight of a shark just like set her off. And when she came back, they had to set up an aisleway so that she could get to the back without seeing any sharks in her periphery.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Van, you had a question for me?
Did I?
You did.
Oh.
Do you ever get a weird fear of like a feeling like there's something wrong, but you can never really put your finger on it? Like it's weird. Like, I've always been weird about it. Like I kind of believe in ghosts a little bit. But there has been moments they keep pulling bodies out of the backyards and the surrounding areas. I live out in Sacramento, and there's a lot of Native American land out there, and there's a lot of burials. And my neighbors, every once in a while, you'll hear about a renovation project, and all of a sudden they've pulled Native American remains out of a backyard again.
Wow.
And I know that they pulled like 4 bodies out of my backyard while it was being built. While the house was being built. Yeah. And so I don't know. I've always gotten like a creepy feeling about my backyard.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. Like I don't feel like I can be out there by myself at night.
Right.
It's the creepiest feeling. Like there's a certain part of the backyard, and it could be a psychology because I know where they pulled the bodies.
Right.
But it's like I don't want to be out there. Like we like do the buddy system. I won't go out in my backyard by myself. So it's the weirdest feeling. Like I get this weird feeling about, like, I don't know. Have you ever had that? Like you just can't quite explain why your hackles or the back of your hair is like standing on end.
Right.
There's
Right.
something weird, and you just feel it. It's like,
That's
or
when something is watching you
right.
or
Or-
touching you, and you just can't see it.
Place like just geezes you out. You're like, you don't really know why.
I want to acknowledge really quick Razzle Dazzle, who is one of my best friends in the world. I love you, Sally. Thank you for tuning in. She was making a comment that was referencing our last segment about being 50 grand in debt for radiology, which is not a federal program, so she does not get part of that release. I also want to acknowledge Raphael. He says, I had no problem during COVID pandemic as a Lyft driver. I had good runs. Yeah, I can imagine being like a Lyft driver and being in so much contact with so many different people that might be a concern as well.
I don't get any of that relief either, by the way.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. I took the Pell, but they told me because I was a nonprofit school. Any of it.
Wow.
I went to film school, and I was one of the people that was defrauded in the early 2000s, not knowing that these nonprofit schools are allowed to tack on. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I know I just came back from SAC Anime. I'm wearing my Loki shirt still. They told me that because of the nature of the loans that I took and the type of school, and that they were a certain type of entity, and it's not a normal university, I'm not allowed to take any of that relief.
Wow.
Guys.
Yeah, that is tough. I'm very fortunate that I do fall in that category. All right, Raphael says, only weirdest part is that to stay at home orders were wherever I drove, all I see was ghost towns, and I'm the only one driving on the freeways. Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the pandemic seeing some of the pictures of San Francisco and seeing the Embarcadero, which is usually just packed with people. Seeing the Embarcadero just being ghost empty, that was kind of a creepy dystopian feeling.
I remember seeing some getting way off topic, but I remember seeing some pictures from Venice, Italy, and everybody was boarded up, shut down. Nobody was out and about, and after weeks, they took shots of all the water, and normally the water looks really trashed and muddy. It was crystal freaking clear.
Right.
There were studies done on the ozone layer, and it had been reported that after a few months, that some of our ozone layer had started to restore itself
Right.
because so many things that just went out of production. So there was no more pollutants going into the air on humanity's part. And that actually, it actually gave me a little bit of hope. I hate to say that like that, but you know, shutting all that stuff down for that little, look how much nature literally healed itself
Right.
without our interference in such a very short amount of time. We're
Right.
talking about like ozone replenishment, which, you know, it was broadcast to the world for years that, oh, once it's gone, it can never be replenished.
Right.
And then look what happened. You know, you took the dirty waters of Venice, and look what happened. It was
And
astounding
didn't they have like
to
dolphins
see.
return or something like that?
It was amazing. It really was.
Right.
Just to see how all that went down. You know, that was. I guess the word for me is fascinating. It
Right,
was
right.
very fascinating to see how powerful our planet really is when it's not being tampered with.
Right. James asked, "Does anyone have a fear of open water?" I would imagine that would be you, Force.
I don't have a fear of open water per se, as long as you know what's in it. You
Which
know,
you don't. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so
Well,
over
isn't that
here-
kind of what the definition of open water is? You kind of don't necessarily know what's in it. I mean, it's
Right.
open. I mean,
we have an enormous lake about 20 miles from me.
that's a lake. That's not
And-
really considered open water.
Yeah, but I mean, it stretches out as far as the eye can see.
Okay, that's open
I mean,
water.
it's wide open, miles and miles and miles, and certain portions of it there's alligators, and certain portions of it there isn't. So, if I had to enter that water from one side of the highway to swim, you know, way across, I would have no idea what's in there with me.
Right.
But as far as like having a fear of it, no, not really.
You know, I used to work as a merchant marine for Exxon. I used to work on the oil tankers, and I remember specifically, like, you know, there'd be like 26 people on a ship, but I could remember having feelings of like, dude, there is not another human being for another 200 miles around us. You know what I mean? Like, if anything happened on this ship, we would be the only people that knew about it. And I often thought about, and I know this sounds like really stupid, especially with technology and stuff, but I had often thought, like, what happens if we come into a port and nobody's there? You know what I mean? Like, we come in and somehow the world has ended, but we didn't get the broadcast out in the middle of the ocean.
That's irony. It really is. That's freaking crazy, actually. I don't know. That'd be really weird. That's kind of weird to think about.
Yeah,
I don't
James
know.
says it's 100 degrees outside today. I have a fear of getting heat stroke with that beanie on. The Distance Nerding podcast snapback would make it much cooler. You are right. I've actually been wearing my Distance Nerding hat all week at school. So I have a bunch of kids that now know about Distance Nerding. Went snorkeling off of Maui. We stopped in between islands for a swim. I couldn't jump into the water. Let my wife go, though. Did you have fear of sharks or something, James? Or what was your big fear? Was it a fear of not knowing what was below you? There was that one movie that freaked me the fuck out. Open Water, I think is what it was called. But it was like The couple went on a diving trip, and then like their boat took off, so they were just stuck in the middle of the water. That would freak me the hell out.
You know, I can't remember the name of this fish. There's a fish in the Amazon that is attracted to ammonia and will actually swim up your urethra
Right.
if you pee in the water.
Right.
I'm afraid of something like that.
Right.
Or
Sharks.
you know, or happen to be down there and piranha decide to take a little snack, and I happen to survive it. That would be the worst.
Right.
I'd rather just be completely chomped away to nothing at that point.
Do any of you guys like surf or anything, or
Second dick joke of the night.
do any of you guys surf or do like water activities?
Not
Like,
really.
I used to surf more. I don't surf that much anymore, but I have a surfboard.
Mhm.
I do. I have. Well, I also haven't gone scuba diving in a while, but that's a lot of fun.
Mhm. Did you have fear of sharks and things like that?
You know what? I never had a fear of sharks. I did have a fear of kelp when I was when I was in my early teens.
Like getting
I didn't
tangled
like.
up in it or something?
Yeah, and then when I actually got a chance to go swim under the water and actually see what these kelp forests really look like,
Right.
you can totally. I mean, there's no fear after seeing that.
Right. You know, James brings up an interesting point here. When he was talking about sharks, yes, Jaws messed me up. Do you think a lot of our fears are irrational because of popular media? I mean, I know Jaws messed a lot of people up, right? But the actual likelihood of being attacked by a shark is so very low.
I think our brains are very, very good at taking a subject matter and running away with it. It's kind of like when there's a heavy storm outside and there's lightning, right? And you got to go from a building through a parking lot to your car. Now, it's like a 1 in a billion some odd chance that you, amidst all the moving cars and all of the metal objects that are way the freak above you, that you are going to get struck by lightning running to your car in the middle of a parking lot in the middle of a heavy storm.
Right.
But that fear is always there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like I'm getting my keys out and it's going to attract lightning and I'm going to get struck.
Right.
Even though you're running away from a building that's got a flag at the very tip top of the 18th floor that's going to get hit first.
Right.
But, that just kind of it just goes in there. So, yeah, a lot of irrationality comes with some of those fears. You're told by your parents at an early age, don't go out there with an umbrella because you're gonna get hit by lightning.
Right.
Like, I remember.
I had a mentor many years ago that told me fear stood for fantasy expectations are realized. Meaning we build up these ideas in our head of what's going to happen, and by building these things up in our head, they actually come to fruition, or we make it far worse than it actually is because we've had this fear.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got?
I heard fear meant forget everything and run,
Well,
or
okay,
face everything and I can't remember what the R was on the one.
So to that point, when you say, when it comes to fruition, do you think subconsciously we pursue that negative outcome? Like we're so wrapped up in it that, we start kind of going down the path of, what if I go down this path? Should I go down this path? I'm gonna go down this path. I know I should, like splitting up in a horror movie. You're not supposed to split up in a horror movie, but they do it anyway.
Don't go down there yet.
Well, I've kind of always been a bit of a daredevil, so it's like I will try and find the hardest way to do something. just because the thrill of getting through it will be amazing.
Right.
Yeah, the whole, makes you stronger.
I
thing.
survived that. that was so cool. And then people look at me like, you stupid motherfucker. You could just go.
Hey, would people? Okay, this is for everybody. Would you guys do skydiving?
No.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would.
Has anybody
In
done it?
a hot fucking
Well,
second.
David, you did it. Did you do it in the military?
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't have an opportunity.
Uh-huh.
No.
So
I would
Veronica, you
have.
say no.
I would. I would.
Oh, you would do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the stuff that kind of makes your heart pound looks like fun to me. Like I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Right.
I used to do that kind of stuff like all the time. I never did skydiving, but I used to do like base jumping. I used to do
Holy shit, base jumping.
yeah.
God damn.
Do you know how to pack your own chute then?
Well, no, we did those what are those like little suits that you wear, and you're like
Like
a
the
little
flight suits, the flying
the
squirrels.
yeah, the flying squirrel suit. Those are fun.
Wow.
You jump off high enough and it carries you. It is so much fun, and it makes your heart just like you're like, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die?
Right.
Oh, I would do that too.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to find things to fly in between.
How the fuck do you
and,
land in those things?
You still need a chute.
Oh.
Yeah, you still need a chute, but it's like a smaller chute, and you pull it like almost at the last minute, and it just kind of, So
Stops you, Rick.
yeah, I used to love doing like mountain climbing, and I think I had a little bit of a death wish in my 20s.
Yeah, that was another thought I had. Like, do we go too far without, like, do some people go too far not having fears? Like, I see these people that do fucking mountain climbing with no equipment on, and I'm like, dude, you guys are smoking crack. Or, like, I'll see those pictures of people that have, like, they're mountain climbing and then they've got their bed just, like, hanging off the side of a rock. And I was like, dude, my ass would roll over in the middle of the night and find myself at the bottom of a mountain.
Well, I used to do cadaver removal on mountains back when I was a lot younger and had the time. And sometimes you didn't get anything. Like, it was just, you get there and because sometimes you had to just go find it first. So I was the team that, had to go find it. And there were times where everything was just washed out and there was nothing to, like, you don't get the safety handholds and the fun stuff that tourists do on
Right.
A leisurely climb. We had to use whatever we had, which was kind of insane sometimes. And there were moments where I was like, what am I doing? But it is a lot of fun. It's just, it gives you kind of a thrill. And
Oh, did I drop you off? Oh, sorry.
it gives you kind of a thrill, and when it gets your heart pumping, you're like, this is what it is to be alive, right? Because I don't know if I'm not going to be in 5 minutes. So I had a lot of fun with it.
That seems like a really fucking back-assward way to feel alive.
It's a
to
way to
tempt
get
death.
it is
Well, come on, think about it. I mean, obviously, if you can cheat death, how better way of a way to know that you feel alive?
Mhm.
Wow.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off. You still got more to say?
I'm done. In fact,
Okay,
I really
I actually had another story that came to mind. So, in I think it was 1999, I was working on a house up in the Oakland Hills, and this is after the major big firestorm of 91?
91?
Yeah.
When the Oakland
So
Hills
things
were
were-
on fire?
Yeah, so things were just growing back enough and all that. We were working on this house right above Highway 24, right where 13 and 24 meet, that big ass hill. And we saw a whole bunch of smoke coming from the side of the hill. Me and my partner, because there was only two of us. Oh, actually, I take that back. We had a foreman there too. So there was three of us. We dropped our bags, our tool bags, and ran over to where we saw the smoke because we were like, oh, we got to see what the hell's going on here. Do we need to get out of here or something?
Right.
We saw the flames creeping up the side of this hill. It was the back side of the hill. It was a eucalyptus grove that had caught on fire, and that stuff burns like gasoline. And it was coming right up the hill towards us.
Wow.
But instead of grabbing our trucks and getting out of there, I went and grabbed a garden hose out of the backyard of the house that was there, that the hill was, that it was over, stilted over the hill. I started spraying everything down because I'm like thinking, this fire comes up here, this house has had it.
Right.
And long story short, obviously I survived it, but there was so much smoke. I had to take my shirt off and wet it down, start putting it on because I couldn't breathe. We're talking about unknown fears. This is an unknown fear. I'm kind of not really afraid of it anymore, but I certainly found out that I was afraid of it then. Suffocating. Smoke inhalation, suffocating, and then burning.
Right.
So, and just coming out of the suffocating part of it, because I mean, you get smoke inhalation, what's going to happen? You're going to pass out. Then you're going to hit the ground where there's not as much smoke, and you'll start breathing again. Maybe come out of it just right about the time you start doing an Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
That was something that scared me.
Right. I thought about that a lot when I was when I was working for Exxon. We were our own fire department. When you're, when there's nobody around you for 200 miles, if you're on an oil tanker and it starts to light on fire, you are your only line of defense.
You're on a matchbox. Hell.
We used to have a joke. What's the difference between going to sea and going to jail? You can't drown in jail.
You're right.
Drowning doesn't scare me, but being smothered in smoke, totally different effect on the human body.
Yeah.
My mom and I had that conversation once because she works in the death field, and I was like, "What would be the worst way to die?" And she was like, "Probably not being able to breathe." She's like, because there's a lot of ways to die peacefully, but she's like, dying, not being able to breathe, you struggle for a while,
Well, it's probably just that panic that just sets in. You know what I mean? Like, I was watching, I watch a YouTube channel called Infographics, and they were talking about different tortures and stuff, and they were talking about waterboarding and how waterboarding is one of the worst psychological tortures because you feel like you're drowning, but you're not actually drowning, but you have that sensation of drowning. Hey guys, we are coming up here at the end. We got about 3 minutes left, and as always, I like to go around and let the audience know where they can find them, what other projects they're working on, what is going on in general. So let us start with Fours here.
No, go to David first.
Go to David first.
No. Go ahead. I'm working on something here to keep. Okay. Someone else just got home, so it's like trying to. Anyway.
All right. So
all right.
I am the one and only Fours. If you are in the lightsaber community, you can find all my work. I'm a sound font creator at FoursFX.com. You can also find my work on saberfont.com. You can also see me here on every Friday night on good old Kyber Cave After Dark. Woo-hoo. And if you are into sabers, a great place to start would be over at Kyber Cave. So go get yourself a saber.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that plug. When is Usual Suspects?
It's on hiatus at the moment because everybody's kind of just dealing with #life right now.
Right.
However, my buddy Brandon and I are about to pick up our other podcast, which is called All the Spice, which is gaming, tech, nerdy stuff. And we're actually supposed to be recording this weekend, and there will be a new episode put out this coming up week, if not this weekend. And we've got green screens and everything, and he just got some new tech stuff going. So it's going to be really, really cool. And that's on the Helmet Fire channel. It's called All the Spice.
All right. Spice runs. All right. Okay, Miss Veronica. I guess we're doing David last. David has something special for us. I'm a little scared. I'm hoping the clothing stays on.
Really, you got?
Go ahead, V.
Oh my god.
I'm not wearing any pants.
Neither am I.
Okay, so that kind of show, right? I am Nerdalism, and
I did say it was going to be a surprise. Sorry.
oh
Go ahead.
boy, oh boy. Yeah. Thanks for that image. I am Nerdalism. Our time is changing a little bit because we're trying to accommodate a lot of big people that are going to be coming on the show.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Woohoo. Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Hi.
Hi, Aubrey.
Hello.
hi, Aubrey.
She popped in to say goodbye.
No,
Well-
this is actually where we do Nerdalism. I've got a new studio. I am so excited.
Nice.
It's a little undressed right now because I've been busy. But yeah, we're Nerdalism. That's it. I've got someone coming on this week, but I don't want to say anything until I confirm. So yeah, check us out. We're on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, pretty much everything right now.
Beautiful.
And on to the lovely Aubrey, I assume.
Well, hold on. First off, I want to give a quick shout out to Johnny Collado. The Wolf Pack is in the house. That is Dark Wolf Sabers.
Oh,
That's my
Fantastic.
wolf
We've had him on
paw.
our show before. Fantastic guy. All right. Okay, now we will go on. Miss Aubrey came in to say to get your
Well-
plug in, huh?
Okay.
she only comes on to plug herself.
You're muted,
That's
Oh,
sweetie.
it.
we got
Oh,
no,
no.
audio.
Muted.
There, can you hear me now?
Yay!
She's
Yay.
too good for us. You see how this is?
No, I did it for a very special thing. Sorry, I'm so late.
Yes.
Well, go do your plug, and I'll initiate the special
to
thing.
you. Happy,
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
dear
Forrest.
Forrest.
I love it.
Happy
Happy birthday
to
to you.
Yay!
Happy birthday, Forrest.
Thank you, sweetie.
And that it's not just any birthday; it's the special birthday of 42. So you are the
Ah,
annual embodiment of the answer,
The answer
to,
to the universe.
life,
universe
universe, and everything.
and everything. yes.
Enjoy it, brother. Happy birthday, man.
I do have a reason why I was late though,
Okay.
because I was doing this. Ah, damn it! Why? Okay, there.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
This is what I was doing. That's why
That's
I was late.
gorgeous.
Really? What's his
Yeah.
name?
Jonathan.
So you were doing Jonathan.
I was drawing Jonathan. If anyone could guess what this is, which Jonathan this actually is, I'll be. You guys can put it in there. Anyway, so I'm sorry I'm late. Yeah, but I had to rush home so I could do a very special happy birthday to Forrest.
Woohoo!
I love y'all so much.
All right, David. Is that
Anyways.
kind of what you had, or what did you?
That's what I was trying to do. Aubrey,
You
thank
said.
you for getting us started, but I had something I was going to start to initiate it, but it's okay.
Sorry.
You messaged me. I
hey,
was like, when?
I'm just so happy. I'm so happy you guys were able to get here because I wanted us to, because we were talking about this earlier in the week. I really wanted us to be able to sing to Forrest for his
Yeah.
birthday.
Woohoo! All right.
So good on you. Thank you so much, Forrest.
Did not mean
You're an
to be
incredible
sorry.
friend. You're a lot of fun to talk to. You're a lot of fun to chat with, and dude, I
Yeah.
hope you have an amazing year. And yeah, that's it,
Yes.
brother.
Very, very heartfelt. We love it, Dave.
Oh, I love you guys. Y'all are freaking amazing.
We are very fortunate to have this group. All right. As for me, my name is Ark with Kyber Cave. We do this show every Friday night at 8 p.m. now, from 8 to 10. We also do a show Sunday nights at 7 p.m. That is Saber Rattle. And on that show, every 50 subscribers we get to this channel, we give away a free combat saber. So please subscribe, like, share this with your friends, let more people know about it. I'm excited to see Johnny Collado popped in tonight.
West of my wolf paw.
Yeah.
Wolfpack.
Woo-hoo.
I will be at SAC Anime tomorrow. I have for some
Nice.
reason decided to wear all black. I will be going as the front man in 108-degree weather. So I may not be making it to Sunday night show. I may actually be dead. I may just go up in a burst of flames.
Dead.
I'm just gonna walk into the sun and just poof.
Actually, I
If
was
you
gonna
die,
say-
can I have your Sith robe? Your Sith
Oh
cloak?
my goodness.
I
Thanks.
Don't
Sorry.
say stuff like that. Come on.
they're making that building incredibly cold. You might enjoy it as long as you get into the building.
Right.
Like, don't die of heat stroke. That I was frozen inside. I had to wait for almost 2 hours for Terra Strong,
Uh-huh.
but it was so worth it.
You got to meet Tara today?
I did. In fact, my best friend ended up on her Instagram story. It
I
was
s-
incredible. Like, because I sent her the video about, bring her pins.
Yeah.
And so she said, pins? What pins? What kind of pins? And I was like, oh no, what are you doing? She brought her bowling pins
Oh, wow.
Goodness. Wow.
that had Twilight Sparkle on it. So
That's
Terra
funny.
Strong thought it was funny.
I have my own strategy for tomorrow. I am this is my strategy. She put out a video saying that if anybody brought her a pin for her jacket, she would give them a free autograph.
Nice. Nice.
I got every character I could find that she does. So I will be going with that. And I also got her. I saw this at a Rage Con, and I picked this up for her.
I hope you
Yeah, right on.
bring a lot of stuff to sign because you get one free autograph for every pin.
Right, I know.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna bring a couple of things for her to sign, and then I am going to try to use the rest of my sway to get her on the damn show.
That's
So
funny.
I will be there. Are you
Bring
gonna
her
be
to
there
the
tomorrow,
After
V?
Dark show.
Yeah. Yes.
What?
That would be fantastic.
That'd
Are
be
you gonna be there
amazing.
tomorrow, V?
I will. For a
Okay,
little while.
groovy. I will be coming. There's gonna be like 4 of us doing Squid Game stuff. But I will be
That's
coming.
awesome.
I think we're gonna get there right at about opening or about an hour after opening.
Are there any tickets left for that?
I actually am picking up some tickets tomorrow morning. I was given 6 tickets to SAC Anime. And supposedly they're the VIP tickets or whatever. So
What?
I was just I got to go pick them up tomorrow morning before we head to the con. So I got to stop at this guy's house, pick up the 6 bands. But yeah, if you guys see me and you guys need a band, just let me know. One of them's going to my son, so I'll have 5 of them left.
Wow.
So yeah, let me
I
know
might
if you
head up
guys.
there
Why
guys-
can't
That is,
I
yeah.
be
This
there?
that might.
Because
Yeah,
I
hop on a plane right now, Forrest.
because I wasn't planning on going at all because I have to work tomorrow night. But
Well, these tickets are good.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
already in
obviously today
Sacramento.
is gone, but these tickets are good for the whole weekend. It's a wristband.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna close it out now. I
Yes.
want to thank everybody for
After party
tuning in. We've had a fantastic time tonight. Tonight was some very fun subjects. Aubrey, thank you for coming in and singing "Happy Birthday" there.
You're
At the
welcome.
last minute to close out the show.
It wasn't on purpose. I swear, it really wasn't. This whole day has been kind of a weird day. It was my sister's birthday as well, so
I got and I got back from the con not too long ago, so I was late too.
Right. Well, we appreciate having you guys on here. When we
Hmm.
first started off, it was just me, and then John popped on because I didn't see anybody else popping in. So John took off. He had a date thing he was doing with his family. So, anyways,
Aw.
all right. So we are going to be out of here. I actually have to go get prepared for tomorrow and get a little bit of sleep. Johnny Collado, make sure to check out Dark Wolf Sabers.
Yes.
He always has, and the Xenopixel. He always has lots of great stuff going on over there. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you Sunday night.
Bye.
I'm totally not prepared. I should have the outro ready. All right.
We're not worthy.
Hello.